Figma should have done a direct listing, and Wall Street absolutely fleeced them. That's what happened.
Please. In fairness, they got a $3 billion from Adobe from the breakup, so it kind of like maybe nets out. From a purely financial perspective, the numbers make no sense. I've seen people on the internet trying to claim that SaaS is back, which is just the wrong take. The only people who should be paying attention to this, really, is Canva.
Why, hello, friends. Welcome to this week's More or Less. How's it going, everyone? It's August.
Hey, Jess.
It's August. And it's still VC. I've been really busy this summer. I don't think I'm VCing correctly. I don't know what's going on.
You're not having a VC summer? You're not on a Riviera? Are there multiple Rivieras? How many Rivieras?
No.
Where is the Riviera?
Oh my God.
You go to the French Riviera? I don't know. Britt, what's been so busy for you? Give us a view into Britland.
A lot of deals, a lot of things happening when I thought there was going to be a summer slowdown. So that's been crazy. And then Dave and I went to Nashville this past weekend for personal reasons. We stayed for professional reasons because we have some LPs out there. But personally, Dave and I went to the show of the year on Sunday night.
Was this a Beyonce show?
It was a dude perfect sold out arena.
Speak for yourself.
Our children thought it was the show of the year. If you are a 5 to 15-year-old
show
boy,
of the year, not my show of the year.
You would have voted this show of the year. And I just continue to remain fascinated by how a YouTube brand like Dude Perfect, which is one of the top 10 biggest channels globally, can command the adoration and love of young boys in like such a way where they rank it higher than anything they've ever done, including Disneyland. And so I continue to be.
Have they built their theme park yet? The Dude Perfect theme park? That's what they were working on.
They're working on it.
I think they're working on it.
Yeah,
I saw that in their deck.
That stadium was wall to wall sold out.
So I don't understand though. Is the entire Dude Perfect live show them just like trying to get a ping pong ball and a cup across it for like 4 hours? Because that's what I would assume.
Sounds
and like eventually they get it.
There are trick shots, but they're crazy.
It's kind of a variety show.
Yeah. They do this one stunt where they literally have to go to the very top of the stadium. This is like Bridgestone Arena. You know, it's massive. And they throw a Nerf football from the top row into a basket, like a hoop that's on the stage. And 2 out of the 5 guys made it. It was crazy.
Guys, this reminds me of the circus last night. Should we talk about the circus?
You guys went to the circus.
We went to the Pamet circus.
It was sweet.
It was sweet.
Our kids
I
loved it.
don't think it was as fun as Dude Perfect. Don't even try to compare.
Well, no, I'm saying just you should talk about. There's an interesting internet story to this that I think is worth actually exploring for a moment.
So we're taking our kids to like I thought we were going to like a circus, right? This is basically a school play. Maybe would be great. Like a better.
You have like a bunch of like 20-year-old kids.
But of course, Sam and I. So it was excellent. They're wonderful performers, amazing acrobatics, amazing juggling. And both Sam and I are separately sitting there thinking the internet has killed this art which we realized later when we brought up the point, because basically these people who, you know, in their world would have been like the juggler, the town renowned juggler or the town renowned aerial acrobatics expert.
Has to compete with Dude Perfect. They got to compete with Dude Perfect.
Yeah, has to compete with Dude Perfect, has to compete with someone who juggles 20 balls instead of 12 or like whatever it is. So there was a tinge to that, but the boys loved it.
The boys loved it. It goes to show like they were just mesmerized. Our children now want to be jugglers. It was great. And like the performers were really wonderful, but it is like, I always tell this story when you talk about the impact of the internet, right? Which is that pre-internet, you're in a small town, right? You're the best basketball player. Your identity in the town can be, I'm the best basketball player. You walk down the street to the sandwich shop, everyone's like, oh, that's the best basketball player. You take pride in that. That's meaningful, you know, in that town because no one's seen anyone better than you. The internet totally fucks that up because now you can look at every basketball player ever. You look on Instagram and even you're like, oh, I'm not that good at basketball because like that guy's like unbelievable. And that's a real bummer, right? Because it means the number of people who can be the best basketball player in their community drops dramatically. And like, I think what the follow on of the internet, what happens with that is it forces everyone towards the fringe of weirder and weirder stuff to right-size communities so they can be the best of blank and whatever. And so you end up with like these, like, instead of creating community physically, where you have like some, effectively natural physical protectionism to like the physical space you're locked into, when you blow that away and the world's flat, you just push people to weirder and weirder extremes, trying to reestablish a sense of purpose in place. But it was really interesting. You guys are at Be Perfect, which is the ultimate example of like globally best at a very niche thing, right? Like, and we're at the Pamit, juggling acrobatic show, which was lovely. And like in an earlier age, you'd be like, wow, that's like the best juggler on the Cape. And now you're like, that's still the best juggler on the Cape. And that was really fun, but it's not the best juggler in the world.
Your quality bar has risen for juggling.
Well, it's just different.
Well, the other problem is, and this is like the problem with all creators, right? And I got questioned about this during all my years at Brit & Co., which is Dude Perfect started 16 years ago. These guys are now in their late 30s. Like, they're slowly, I think, going to lose some relevance with their core audience. And it's really hard for them they're trying to bring up these other characters in their series and even in the live shows, but it's like the originals are the originals and you just want to stick with them. And so,
well, that's why you need to Tom Cruise them. You need to use a bunch of AI and longevity shit and you keep them alive forever.
They are cartoonifying themselves in a lot of ways. They're launching a ton of merch lines. They've got Dude Perfect HQ, like their big entertainment zone they're building in Texas. So I think they're trying to...
Look, that's the beauty of Mickey Mouse. He doesn't age, like that's why cartoons are great, right? Like,
I know.
They can live forever.
Yeah. So that might just be, every creator needs a cartoon.
Yeah, an AI Dude Perfect.
And the real problem with Dude Perfect guys is they gotta fucking show up and do the shows. Like, if you're a venture capitalist, you don't age because you can just go on to Zoom off of your yacht, still do your job, but still be on the yacht.
Sam, I'm surprised that you're landbound right now.
I'm
surprised to see you landlocked.
So my plan was to do this episode off the Boston Whaler, which is my yacht, my 17-foot yacht. Like, that's my goal.
Gonna Starlink it.
I'm going to get it done, I think, next week. I was going to do it, but there are two problems. One is I've bought a lot of like nautical attachments for the Starlink, which I haven't set up yet, and I just haven't had time to do. So I got to get that done. And then two is, unfortunately, my yacht only has power through a cigarette lighter, and the cigarette lighter adapter to power actually is still coming from Amazon. So I think it'll be a next week thing. You'll see me in my yacht. I only no shirt, I assume.
Ahoy. Oh, you could keep the shirt on. Ahoy. Okay. So we've done our entertainment explorations. And to Britt's point about the news, it remains quite busy. Did you guys, any Figma investors out there in the VCs on the pod?
Turns out I was an LP in Greylock 14. That was the fund.
So was I.
There you go. Who knew?
And one of our companies,
money.
One of our offline companies sold for an all stock deal to Figma. So we got some
you
of
guys, I put a $100 limit order in on the IPO day and I got 100 shares.
Wow.
So you're paying for what? My Miata?
Yes.
Wow. So Dave, I'm glad I asked this question. I'm surprised there wasn't more bragging on the text thread, to be honest. Dave, what do you make of the performance? Give us the story. Why did Wall Street go crazy? Although, it's early, it's come down a little, the lockup period, et cetera, but very strong showing, big pop, hovering at a valuation many times of what Adobe would have bought it for. What happened?
What do I make of it?
Yeah.
Figma should have done a direct listing. And Wall Street
do we have to talk about those again?
absolutely fleeced them. That's what happened.
Please. Thank you, tall venture capitalist works at Benchmark. What's his name?
Who?
Bill Gurley.
Bill Gurley.
Why? I don't know what you're talking
That's
about.
like his thing.
He went off about this on X.
So basically, because there was such a pop, the company got less money than it could have raised.
Yeah.
In fairness, they did get a free $1 billion from Adobe. They got a free $1 billion from Adobe from the breakup, so it kind of like maybe nets out.
Yeah. I mean, it was a small float. Okay, so that's your takeaway. Direct listings, though, didn't go so well. I mean, they were fine, right? Spotify did one, Airbnb did one.
Well, the one that worked was Google, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was
Google
so long ago.
Google was not a direct listing. It was a Dutch auction, which Figma did, I think.
What's a Dutch oven? That's when you.
It's just a price discovery mechanism. You like throw out the highest
just heard that and
bids.
laughed. I'm trying to make our audience younger.
There you go.
We've started with Dude Perfect and we brought in an 8-year-old in a circus. We're crushing the younger gen. Okay, so Dave's hot take is direct listing. Sam, what's your hot take?
On Figma?
Yeah.
Look, Dylan's such a good guy. Like, that's my take. And I'm like happy that people are excited about his company. Like, I think that from a purely financial perspective, the numbers make no sense. I've seen people on the internet trying to claim that SaaS is back, which is just the wrong take. SaaS is not back.
They also are claiming that only mildly profitable SaaS is back because Figma's profitable, but it's not wildly profitable.
Like, whatever. It's like, I just, look, at the end of the day, if you want someone to get like a big old W in the world, right? Like on an IPO, it is Dylan. Like he's the right guy to give the win to. And I like it when good guys win. So go Dylan and go team. But I think.
Okay, that's a mildly weak hot take. Yeah.
It financially makes no sense. And the question is, how much does that rationalize and matter? One version of the world is it doesn't really matter because actually, weirdly, retail now leads in a lot of these stocks and the institutions just pile behind them because retail is weirdly the marginal buyer and people like Figma, right? Fine. But I think if you take the SaaS back, I think that's wrong. I think really loved products with option value and AI, they can sort of are kind of to the pops of makes sense. The hottest take I've heard that I actually do agree with is the only people who should be paying attention to this really is Canva. Because Canva is an even more retail thing that's way bigger, right? And like has a ton more AI leverage. And so if I were Canva, the signal I might be getting is go out. That's the only one who I think really should be taking.
They've been almost going out for a long time.
I think this is all pent up energy of people excited about the IPO window opening bigger and bigger. And it's not just Canva that's going to be excited. This is like Discord and Klarna and Stripe and potentially Plaid next year. Like, I think there are a lot that have been waiting to see how one of these does before they feel confident.
For what it's worth, I would go super under on Stripe going out. Those guys are too smart. They have a totally different plan. They have no interest in the public market. And there's no point to them in going public. There's plenty of liquidity in their currency. I think on the others, that might be the wrong read. I mean, that might happen, but I'd say that, like, look, I think the AI cherry on top is critical. I think there's a lot of people who want to have an AI story, but they already hold like so much Meta and Google or whatever, and they're like desperate for AI things. And like this kind of you could squint and say is an AI thing. And so
that's exactly what I was going to say.
It's being totally branded as an AI thing. It's like Figma, the AI company. It's crazy. I know, but it's like
the only explanation for this is that this is absolutely based on excess demand for AI plays. Like it's like that's the only explanation for the price.
My hot take is that we need to be paying more attention to OpenAI going out was honestly my hot take.
Can they do that with the Microsoft deal? Aren't they totally kneecapped on that?
No, because at the end of the day, Satya will not want his investment that he has also invested a shit ton of infrastructure in supporting to go to zero. And he doesn't have to agree until the 11th hour, but he'll agree at the 11th hour. And I don't know. I'm not saying it's tomorrow by any means, but I have no doubt that the leadership there thinks they could be a public company now, even with all the money they're losing. They're growing so fast. And there's this pent up AI demand that you're talking about is now spilling over into non-AI companies.
So you think, even though, I mean, Sam's right. Dylan's built an incredible business. I mean, financially, the business is a really good business. It's certainly trading way above where it should be, but
like at a 90 revenue multiple or something.
If you think so, OpenAI is like a wildly different financial story from Figma, even.
Totally,
so
but I think
you think that on these two variables, that the retail traders are just YOLO, like number go up, like let's go, and then on the other variable, that there's so much excess demand for AI story in everyone's portfolios that OpenAI goes up similarly.
Also, talk about the ultimate meme stock. ChatGPT, what they said their users, what they've hit 700 million, something. I mean, usage is exploding and it's more users and their frequency is going up. They've got a big live stream event this week, probably around GPT-5. They released their first open weights model, which probably has nothing to do with their IPO. But I think that stock could absolutely rip. Now, that doesn't mean that the company wants to be public tomorrow. I don't think it is going to have trouble raising in the private markets. But I think Sam Altman would love to be in a long-term trillion-dollar market cap race with the horsemen of the apocalypse. And I think they're going to get there sooner rather than later.
Well, the reality is it's not optional. Like, I do think that like they're going to need to be, because otherwise they're just going to be completely outgunned. And I also just don't even believe, though, they can raise the amount of money they need. Like, I just don't see that. This is the whole long meta thesis.
They just raised a round with TPG and Blackstone, which like...
Yeah, but it's like not that much money. It's like single-digit billions of dollars, isn't it?
I think it's like 40, I thought.
They're also doing a huge buyback. I don't know. I don't honestly know it. Like, I'm just deeply interested in this topic. I do not have
under that OpenAI goes public in the next 12 months.
Under.
I'm like right at, okay, I won't wimp out on this. I will say I'm 40% 2026, but like 90% 2027. So I think there is a reasonable chance next year. And like, I just think they're not going to go a Stripe, a SpaceX and all that kind of stuff. Like, they're just not. The body language is totally different.
Well, it's also like they just need more money. Like, Stripe doesn't need that much money.
Yeah, so like, that's a big reason.
That's the big thing is OpenAI needs to play in they're playing at a table where they need such a deep chip stack that they don't have the money. Like, it's like Meta makes what, $60 billion in profit a year that they can play with, right? Like, they get a 1.5x of OpenAI's most recent ridiculous fundraising for free every year to play with, right? Like, if you're fighting that battle, you got to have a deep chip stack. And like, it's a hard question about how you build it.
And you have to make your researchers really rich really fast because everyone else is, and you're up against
and then figure
Meta
out how to retain them once they're really rich.
Hope they don't leave.
Well, we talked about that last time. But yeah, so anyway, I think Anthropic probably does it before OpenAI because they need it more, right? So if you put the need before, although I think Google and Amazon will continue to fund them.
If I'm Anthropic, I'm going public as soon as possible right now.
Ooh, like, it feels to me like Lyft went before Uber, right? Am I like really dating myself? I just interviewed Dara.
I think you're right.
On TITV. It feels like one of those things, you know?
Here's my theory. I was actually thinking recently about how to retain all these AI engineers and the comp structure to make it work. I have an answer. You want to hear it?
Oh, yes.
No.
So I think the right strategy is to basically go to these AI engineers, be like, here's the deal. I'm going to pay you $1 million a year, right? That's actually your baseline salary. Once a year, you get to roll a big wheel.
Oh, not
if
this
the
again.
wheel lands on $1 billion, it's like one in whatever chance. If the wheel lands on $1 billion, you get $1 billion. But otherwise, you have to keep working another year to get another turn at the wheel, right? And that way, you actually don't, like, you basically give them, like, and like every once in a while, someone hits the billion and they're gone, right? But like, you got to keep them in the game. You basically say your comp is, you paid fine, but like, it's all about wheel rolls.
Sam, this is even a skit on the Dude Perfect tour. It's called Wheel Unfortunate. So
yes, 2 kids came up on stage and spun the wheel. God. One kid got a bag of cash. The other kid had to lick a hamster. Just saying, maybe it applies to Anthropic as well.
You know where I got the idea from, which is probably where they got the idea from, is the fabulous Weird Al Yankovic movie UHF, where they make Wheel of
UHF's
Fish.
So great. Yeah.
Remember Wheel of Fish?
Of course.
Where like they basically make a rip off of Wheel of Fortune, they spin it, and the guy wins a carp, and he's like, and the host is like, you can keep the carp or go for it. What's in the box? And the audience is like, carp, box, and he gets the box, and there's nothing in the box, and the host is like, nothing. Absolutely nothing. You're so stupid.
You still talking about the skit? Okay.
So
he's talking about UHF.
Keep it moving, Jess. Okay. Keep it moving.
So I think Figma has stirred up some really interesting questions. You've got, it was just the day of the IPO, my X feed. It's just so great, right? It's like everyone talking about the time they had an ice cream with Dylan and how great he is.
Dylan's like a good human.
No, Dylan is a lovely person, but also like then people being like Parker Conrad saying something like, "Oh, seems like the markets are interested in SaaS, like asking for a friend. What does this mean? Which I guess is
and then getting body
only
slammed
natural.
by people like, no, Parker, not you. That's what I saw in X.
Well, I didn't see that. I mean,
funny.
This is the whole point of like, I mean, guys, social
Parker,
is so
no.
frustrating. Dave, can we give you a report on the social medias? Like just telling you at the moment, like it just pisses me off that you have to have a huge emotion to get any distribution. Like,
welcome to all media, Jess. You know
this.
What's
But
the point?
no, not all media. This is not my business, Britt. I can, and our team, we can
outside
break
of news
just
media,
really important news with no emotion, and it can rip. So
everything except
that's because
news
you're
media.
making and losing people money. It's like if there's money at stake, people get very excited about the news.
Yeah. Okay. So it has to be money or being mad.
Which is why everybody in crypto is just constantly in a state of overexcitement at all times.
Or over despair.
Because they're getting the dopamine from X and they're getting the money. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they move together.
I've been pondering this topic. I'm sure this happens to you guys too. But when I talk to people from outside the Valley, people always ask me, what's the mood in the Valley? What's it like? Like, what's happening? What's going on in San Francisco? And someone asked me this yesterday, and I said, it's really interesting. There's a lot of exuberance. There's a lot of excitement. People are wealthy. They're excited about their startups. They're excited about the hype cycle. They're generally excited about the technology. But there's also this angst that, I don't know, everyone I talk to one-on-one seems really nervous. They seem nervous about their own coding skills. They seem nervous about their business. They seem nervous about what kind of bets they should be placing. And it's not like an angst over like the future of employment in America in AI or that, but it's just much more like what should I be doing? What should my business be doing?
Can I bring in your father, who's a great guy, into this conversation? Because he said something to me once.
You may, and we'll see where this goes.
Let's get Jerome on the pod.
Jerome would love to be on the pod.
I love Jerome.
Mary can come too. We're going to have a great show.
Mary, you're invited.
Jerome's seen a lot, let's put it that way, in the business world.
Indeed.
And he also was a vice chancellor of Brown for many years. And he said something to me that stuck with me that I think actually explains this. Years ago, he's like, Sam, he was like raising like billions of dollars for Brown University. And he's like, Sam, it's like when you go talk to people and raise money for something like Brown, it turns out that the Wall Street people actually aren't that generous. The people who are really generous are the people that own factories. They're like industrialists. And like the reason is because everyone on Wall Street deep down knows they're one trade away from bankruptcy. Yeah. Whereas industrialists actually know what they're worth, right? And they know how much money they're making every year and how much they're going to make next year. And there's like a very clear sense. They're way more generous because, like, everyone on Wall Street has this like secret fear running around. They might be very rich on paper, but they know they're one trade away. And I think that's actually what's going on in the Valley right now. Is like things are moving so quickly. AI is so disruptive. There's all this stuff going on. There's super empowered individuals coming out of nowhere. Like it's just crazy. And so I think everyone kind of deep down recognizes that they're one trade away or one move away from irrelevance or losing all their money or their stock going to zero or Bitcoin getting hacked and God knows what. And there's just like a fundamental angst to that, right? Which I think is very different than like normal industrial stuff when you kind of know what next year is going to look like.
Dave, what do you think? You're very tuned to this topic.
Yeah, I like that. I hadn't thought of it that way. I think you can take a step back and with the benefit of, I guess, the wisdom of having been around a few technology cycles since I've been in Silicon Valley, I think we are at the point where there's been quite a bit invested. I think that we are really far over our skis in terms of infrastructure investment. I think my favorite example is the amount of fiber that went into ground during the dot-com boom. We invested so much in fiber that the excess capacity just so far outstripped the demand that the entire business collapsed for many, many years.
Do you think we're there with H100s?
Yeah, I think we're in some realm of this right now where you've got an investment level in infrastructure that is so intense. And I mean, we just talked about it, right? Like the need for capital is like voracious, and the style of building is so intense for this type of system that there's just a lot happening, and nobody actually knows. And I guess this is maybe Sam's point. Nobody actually knows if this trade is the right trade. Like it's super clear that we need far more energy than we have. that we need more infrastructure than we have. And nobody's really sure how efficient these things are going to get. We know that like the human brain only uses 20 watts of continuous power at all times. And in every conceivable way is still a better system than anything we've created with digital bits and hardware. And so we're so far away from figuring this out that nobody's actually sure what's going to happen in the next 5 years. And so I think that anxiety is very existential and deep inside of everyone. And we've talked about it at length on this pod. Like, we've yet to see outside of the Meg 7 any like meaningfully huge businesses that have unlocked due to this new technology that are actually functioning awesome businesses, right? Like, you've got amazing products at enormous scale. ChatGPT, you just said it, Jess. Like, this thing is at, almost 1 billion users per month. Or is it DAU? Is it at 1 billion DAU? It's like some.
Yeah, we can actually just look up the stats, right? But the fact that it doesn't really matter says the.
Yeah, it's enormous. Their time spent per day is, approaching Instagram.
700 million weekly, up 4x.
So one of the things that I did last week was I started to look at of the available cash that the big Meg 7 companies have churning off of their businesses, like what percentage of it are they allocating to AI? And it's a really interesting exercise to go do, because when you look at Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet are all in the 60 to 80% range right now. Apple is at 10%. And so you actually have a wildly divergent opinion on how important this technology is to the next 5 years, 10 years. You got Tim Cook choosing the Kelly criterion, and you have the rest going effectively all in, right? And so I think it just kind of goes to show, like, the investment level is enormous. We don't know what's going to happen. And so I think the anxiety comes from that as well, though I also like Sam's point.
Yeah. Britt, what do you think? What do you feel?
Dave and I were talking about the Apple investment in 10% last week too, over, date night. And and I think it's really interesting because it's similar to what Dave's saying, like, so much has not shaken out yet. Everyone's riding this bubble. I think that, you're watching right now, what I'm seeing are headlines about these massive apps, even that have like enormously fast scaling businesses, getting replicated with their code bases very, very quickly. And so the business hasn't yet been replicated. And DeepSeek kind of did this on the LLM front, right? And I don't think has really taken hold of, OpenAI's users or anything like that. But I think that we're going to start seeing more and more of these AI businesses get replicated, and with like tweaks to business model or pricing or some new sort of virality, go to market implementation, like a lot of investors are going to lose money on the second or third wave of the things they've invested in that have been brought to market much quicker. And I'm talking a little bit more in the application layer. I think obviously like the LLMs are pretty baked at this point, but I get nervous when I see these $10 million seed rounds happening or more for companies that have zero product market fit.
Well, for me, or they do have early product market fit because it's so easy to find your first few customers in today's world. Like, this is the classic CAC only goes up. I mean, I think, look, my thing, I'm trying to write our quarterly slow letter. I actually tried crowdsourcing it. I wrote my draft and stuck it on Twitter to see what people would say. But like, I actually think that the thing for seed investing is like, it's scrambling all the ways we're used to evaluating startups is the problem, right? So like, the analogy
I saw your piece this morning. It's definitely part of it's definitely what the thing you're going at is definitely part of the angst.
So I think part of the angst is like, okay, a generation ago, if you were going to get seed funding, you'd show up with a business plan, right? It'd be like 100 pages with projections and all this stuff, right? And like, the reality is the exercise of the business plan was partially like to get an investor up to speed, but a lot of it was like demonstrating that you as a leader could managed all the pieces of this business and could understand them, and you articulated it through this like document you handed over. And people were like, okay, I'm evaluating the leadership as much as anything else by like what they're showing me. That got blown out of the water because I was like, well, this is all bullshit. We know that these projections are bullshit. It was just an exercise. Just build something. Like, just show me a prototype and give me 4 slides, right? And that became like what we're used to evaluating is like the 4 slides. Are they reasonable? Are they well designed? Are they telling the right story? And then like the app is the pudding. It's like, are you thoughtful about design? Do you understand the user interaction? Like Dave and I and Britt and Jess, I think to you to some degree, like I can read a startup V1 app so easily, right? And like just know so much about the thinking and just from like small things for like decades of exposure. Like I know details of like how that iOS button interacts tells me something about the team, right?
100%.
That's blown out of the water by AI because all of a sudden like everything looks the same. Like not to mention the fact that pitches are customized at scale and the decks are all crap. The apps themselves, the V1s are like too similar. So we don't know how to evaluate this stuff. And then by the way, you can go get $2 million of revenue with a bunch of platforms and APIs from anyone because it's easy, right? On like to get started. And so all the normal criteria that make it easy to evaluate startups are blown out. So you have all these investors who miss this and they plow into these things as though it was the old school thing. And they got tricked by it effectively. The question is, how do you do diligence now, right? Because like basically all of our tools just got shot as seed investors. And so we got to come up with the next set of tools to help us understand what's a real business and what's going to win versus like what's a really great overnight hackathon demo that's like $1 million in revenue, right?
Well, this is also a conundrum I've been thinking about this week too is, I mean, every morning I sit in a meet room and all our editors talk about all our reporting from their teams. And every other day it's, well, we're chasing a huge AI round at 2x the last valuation or 20x the last valuation. And we're also chasing layoffs from AI company Scale, Cognition, right? Which I think did buyouts, not layoffs, for like the teams on the other side of this. And I'm genuinely curious about like those investors that are just bidding up, and this isn't OpenAI, right? This is, I mean, a range of startups that I'm usually learning their names in these meetings for the first time. Like, what are those investors thinking? Is it YOLO FOMO? Or, I mean, especially Sam, to your point, if they can't really diligence them inherently, if there are inherent challenges in the diligencing, which let's face it, investors aren't really known for anyway in private tech investing, like what's going on?
I think that a lot of what you're talking about, Jess, it is YOLO FOMO, but it's also just logo buying, right? People are buying logos, they're buying markups, they're buying potential markups so that they can raise their next fund. You know, there's a lot of that stuff going on. People.
Well, I also just think like most people like, so the way you're supposed to be, especially a seed investor, is to have like novel theses that other people don't agree with and like be out on your own and be wrong a bunch, but then be super right. That's what you're supposed to do. But there's safety in numbers, right? So if you're going to write some check, if all the cool kids are writing the same check and then it's wrong, at least you're all wrong together. And like you're in the school, you're like, oh, we all were wrong. Look at us. We're kind of middle of the road. So it's a very middle of the road strategy is what I would say. But it isn't a terrible one if you're just trying to raise institutional capital. You're like, I'm in the right logos. Sure, we were all wrong. But look, we were all wrong. And like Mark Andreessen was wrong too. So like how bad can it be, right?
Yeah. So there's Sam, a lot of downside.
I thought you were getting towards something in what you wrote that I think about a lot, which is that I always loved Arthur Rock's old thing of the intellectual book value of a founder being the main thing that you are trying to discern at the seed stage. Because there's no book value otherwise, you can't look at cash flow, you can't look at, you know, anything of, to the point earlier, manufacturing, there's nothing there. And so all you're trying to do is discern the intellectual book value of the founder. And you've got this sort of twofer going on right now that really makes this impossible. Number one, you can't look at any deck or memo or anything that is written and actually understand the thinking of the founder anymore because it's being run through AI and outputted by an LLM. And so the actual nuance to the founder's thinking has been removed. And so you can't actually tell what the intellectual book value is, 80% of the time. Same goes with demos and prototypes. Unless you kind of really know what you're doing. And I think a lot of folks in the business, they don't build apps, haven't built apps, don't do software. They look at a lot of what's going on, and it's vibe coded, and they don't understand that underneath the hood, the thing like probably doesn't work to scale. There's a lot of issues with it. But because you can do this now, you have no ability to kind of look at the nuances of software anymore, even, and discern the intellectual book value of the founder. Mm-hmm. And so what do you do, right? My answer to this has been, I'm going to work with founders that are second time, third time, that I know are extremely talented.
Oh, there go the women.
Are working. What do you mean? There go the women. I'm literally on the board of a second time, female founder right now.
I'm saying this without judgment, but when investors use the lens of repeat founders, which economically might be the right lens, historically that shifts the demographics of the founders to the people who were founders.
I don't know.
10 years ago. There have been studies on this. I'm happy to reference
Can I make 2 points on this? I think the thing Jess is pointing out is actually right for like all this AI stuff in general, right? Which is like the thing I really worry about socially is like feudalism 2.0, right? And what do I mean by feudalism 2.0? It's like, well, it's not, everyone's like, these AI tools makes everyone smarter and da-da-da. It's like, no, what these AI tools do is totally change. So there's no signal in the public anymore. You can't tell what's real and what's not real. Yeah. It's not just apps. It's like everything. We have no idea what's real. And because they destroy the signal in the commons of like, you can trust something because it is what it is, what you do is retreat to private networks in every form. It happens in news. It happens in app building. It happens in who you date or whatever. It's like there's just going to be this massive retreat away from the commons, which is, I think, actually really scary for like the American dream and like American identity. Because I think our country, in a lot of ways, have benefited dramatically from like the openness that this is. So I think it's a real phenomenon. I don't think it's
going to be, Sam. I think it's happening right now.
Yeah, I think it's like fine for us, but bad for the world and like scary. So I think that's the thing. Now I will say, Dave, I'll push you on the second time founder thing, because like one thing that I really believe, and I'm trying to get at this in this kind of quarterly letter we're working on, is like the idea of like there's just a good person is actually overly simplistic. I think what it is like a good person at the right moment to do a great thing.
Yeah.
And from that perspective,
you have to understand the intellectual book value, right?
But
like if you have depth with the person and you understand where they're at in their journey and what's going on, what their incentives are.
The last part, that's the key thing, is like, what are their incentives? Because I think there's a lot of people who like for instance, I would not back myself as an early stage founder right now. I think I'm a pretty good venture capitalist, but I wouldn't back myself as a solo founder of like a new tech startup. Because even if I might have the ego to think I have the intellectual capital to do a good job of it, I'm just not like in the right emotional or life stage place to do it well for a whole bunch of reasons, right? Like, totally. And like, so I think that's like the really interesting thing is like, you got to pick people that aren't only great, but great in the moment.
Absolutely. I think that becomes the art, right? And so how do you practice that art in today's world, right? And I think this is just one vector. You can do it based on, multi-time founders that you have incredible depth with, right? And that you understand that they are there.
The problem is, it's kind of like the whole old joke about why there are no good old engineers. It's because like all the good engineers have made too much money by the time they're old. Right?
I don't think that's true. There's like statistically,
it's a generalization.
But statistically, the returns of founders that are like 45 and up are so much higher than those like 20 to 35.
Yeah, but that's also kind of BS, because that's like looking at like manufacturing companies and stuff.
No, even in tech. No, and then venture capital. I'll pull the data. I've got the data.
Well, I know you got some data. I don't know if it's real. That's the whole point.
AI-generated data.
That's the whole point of AI.
Guys, there's just no question that people work their butts off in their 20s in ways they don't.
And in their 50s. I like really believe 50s. That people get bored. I think once you have empty nesters and you're like 50 and you're like, I'm not done working yet. And
can we all agree that it's generally a bad idea to back parents?
We're going to check in when we're 50. Wait, say that, Sim?
I said, this is like, we can agree that we can argue about 50-year-olds. Can we all agree as parents of small children that it is generally a bad idea? Not always, but generally a bad idea to back parents of small children.
Of small children, potentially, but not of teenager, college age.
Either
children.
that or it's the best possible incentive, Sam. I mean, there's how many movies have been made about the incentive of small children and having to find a way.
Yes, that is true. And I think this is the big thing is like the like solo dad Hollywood story got to grind. I think that absolutely happens and it's super hard to find. I'd also totally take as an argument that since the common logic would be that it's really hard to balk parents of young founders, it actually might be great venture capital because no one else is going to do it.
You know
right?
what?
So like
I take it back though. Now I'm thinking about our portfolio and we have a bunch of parents with like young children and they work at like 4 a.m. and they just like work around the clock.
It's just
and on,
so
like,
difficult. I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions.
They're crushing though. And I really think it's possible. I agree with you. It's harder.
Don't you guys believe in like sleep and mental health? I just think it's like so taxing.
Depends on how you play it, man.
If it's your obsession, then you're going to make it work.
But then, yeah.
I think we're like back to this. This is one thing that's bothering me a lot in the Valley right now. I think it was like popping up in, I think, the windsurf deal. There's like this, like, we have a culture where we don't sleep and everyone works 24/7 and blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh man, this is actually the harbinger of knowing when the cycle has hit its peak. Right? When everybody is sort of talking about how they're sleeping in the office and we have, 24/7 coverage. And if you don't want to work this way, it's like, okay, we're back to that part of the cycle in the Valley.
Maybe I get that, but let me just play the counter on that. First of all, I loved sleeping in the office when I was in my 20s. I thought it was super fun and like a great adventure because I was so passionate about what we were doing. And like, that was like, I did that even when I didn't have to, when I didn't understand the context of it. But like, working at midnight, like grinding with a team is like a wonderful experience. And
of course. But it's not the only experience that creates value, Sam.
No, but I will say, like, I'll tell you in the early days, not the early days, but like the mid days of Facebook, when I was doing it, like, it depends how you look at it. It's all relative. In the 2010 era, we'll call it
I was there in the era when we were sleeping in the office.
I know you were there. Well, different teams did a different way, but here's the upshot.
I was there in the era of the frat house.
Let's have the pissing match about who was at Facebook earlier, Dave.
Oh my God.
Here's what I basically point out.
It was Dave, right? Yeah, by a long shot.
By a lot.
Yeah, okay. Just I would like the pissing match to end.
Thank you, Jess.
You're welcome.
Is the interesting thing I remember with parents is I remember being in my 20s. And like working easily to midnight every night for like days on end, and then a lot of times like sleep in the office. And the parents would go home to their kids. And then we'd start making all these decisions at like 9 p.m. And we'd always be like, where are these people? Like I guess we'll just make these decisions because they're just not here, right? And like that happened all the time, right? And so I do think it is just like a work culture thing. I don't think working super late and hard is a bad thing. I think it's a great thing in sprints. I don't think it's sustainable forever, but there are times when it absolutely makes sense to do it. But there are just these cultural realities, which I now understand as a parent. I'm like, oh yeah, they're with their kids, obviously. And I was like, that's the right decision. But like, that is why 20-year-olds rule, because like, in some ways it's like, if you're there and we're making these decisions at 9 p.m. and we're going to ship them at 8 a.m. and you're not in the room, you're not in the room.
So I'm going to bring this to a close with my opinion, as is my prerogative, right? I think, first of all, when you're talking about this business, you're talking about exceptional people who by definition aren't the norm, right? So you're going to find a tremendous number of successful entrepreneurs who meet all of the criteria, age, parents, whatever, because like it's an outlier kind of field. But I do actually believe there's a lot to this, like when there are, like, there's just a huge difference in way of working in the decades of your life on average. And I think there are different types of roles suited to those. And this is a total generalization with the point that, again, you're going to find great entrepreneurs across the spectrum because entrepreneurs defy sort of the convention. And like now, I mean, the debate about work from home. I used to work 6 days a week in the office when it was just me living in San Francisco and Sam was in New York. And I'd go into the office and I'd write a draft of a story on Saturday and then I'd go hang out with my friends. Or if I was chasing something at 9 p.m., I just keep chasing it because there was like no sense of like I could kind of get up whenever. That's totally different now. The flip side is like I am way better and smarter and wiser about so many other types of work now, and I could work way better. And I can go from interviewing someone to writing an article like instantly when that would have been multi-day thing. So I think it's very complicated, but I don't think we should overlook the point Sam is making, because I actually think it's real, and it's a hard one to make because it inherently is like exclusionary in some ways, but I think it's a real dynamic.
It's different in different periods. Like I agree with you, Jess. Like I'm like twice as efficient as I was in my 20s in terms of work. Like, I'm just smarter. I know what to do, et cetera. But here's the thing. In times of great change, victory goes to the people who learn the fastest. And and things are changing very rapidly. All that stored how to do things gets thrown out the window, right? And it's just basic because it's just less relevant. It's less valuable if the world is changing really quickly. And so I do think there's a real advantage to being in a place where you can just do the midnight, 2 a.m. constant thing, because you will learn faster. You'll figure things out faster, and experience becomes less valuable.
And maybe this moment is just very suited with AI, with the pace of change, with the tools coming out, is very suited to the person who can really put in huge blocks of uninterrupted time. I mean, you know this from me, Jess. Sorry, go ahead. I mean, this is the cursor versus Netflix debate that rages.
Well, no, this is my thing. Like the thing for the fall, I'm trying to think about how to run my life efficiently. And like, I was like, Jess, hey, can I like I'm going to try to do like a day a week where I just disappear from like very early in the morning till like midnight. Because like,
Lawrence, what do you think of this plan?
I actually really like this. I think you should do it. I was thinking about doing this as like a 2 to 3 day a month thing, like a personal offsite. But I
need this mental space,
the deep
and
work,
I need the
deep
time.
Work, deep thinking time. Yeah.
Guys, are you free for dinner every Wednesday?
Yes, I'll hang out with you, Jess.
I can't do what I think I need to do in like 2-hour chunks right now. Right. And so like I need to create space that's longer blocks. And the nice part about 80/20 is you can do that every day. I'm going to get 1/50th the reps on this that the person who's 20-year-old Sam is getting. And that's really a big difference.
Couldn't you just decide that's a better way to work?
What do you mean?
And just do that?
No, because I like my family and I have a rich life.
There's been, it's like the Basecamp.com guys. They constantly talk about this, that, a culture full of meetings, a calendar full of meetings is like a bad life, right? And so how do you create a creative life is like a very interesting question. I think you can to a point,
but I just think this is the problem with being a full adult, is that you have a bunch of relationships and responsibilities and things you want to do because you have a rich life, that when you're like a 20-year-old guy who can't get a date, you just don't have. Like, this is my whole thesis on like why 20-year-old, not usually very attractive men do so well, right? Is because like they have access to nothing else, right? And so they just do computer stuff.
They could talk to ChatGPT all day, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's actually the degenerate case. I'm worried about that, right? Like, which is like, is that, people, I was joking about like the drunk test is like the best product of the product after 5 beers. You just engage with and like know how to use, and we talked about in like social context. Now it's like, what a drunk person loves to do is just talk to ChatGPT for hours, right? Like,
so Instagram really is screwed.
Well, it depends whether they're buying things while they're drunk. They're like, oh, that looks good. Ooh, like that's the best user ever. The problem is that ChatGPT is going to be like, I know you're drunk. Do I still what do I do now? Do I send you all the most high priced products to buy?
ChatGPT, well, there's some headline that they're like, if you're acting weird,
Gemini? Yeah, exactly.
They're like,
it's like, you're drunk, go talk to Gemini. It's like, you're drunk, come back when you're not so drunk. It's like, I'm not talking to you anymore.
Sam and Dave just have these bits that they've delivered, but they keep on just like hoping that everyone is like still with them.
We're iterating.
Yeah, you're workshopping.
Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Workshop stuff in real time.
It's not a mediocre joke. It's a deep truth about how the world's going to work. Where ChatGPT is going to be like, you drunk and you poor. You're not going to buy anything. Go talk to Gemini.
There's some marketing. Gemini's going to want you to buy too, though, I think.
And then Gemini's be like, I don't want to talk to you. Go talk to ChatGPT. And then they're going to both send you to Grok, which will like make you crazy.
Which now, by the way, software update on my Tesla this morning, I can talk to Grok through my Tesla.
Your car's now a Republican. Congratulations.
God, I'm even more worried about the Morans. Can you please send me like safety texts? Yeah.
You just push one button on the screen and then you're chatting with Grok, and it could do kids story time. It could do all kinds of things.
You know what it also can do? It's going to be so effective at vote gerrymandering. Because you're going to go like, take me to my polling place.
Take you to the wrong booth.
And it's like, take you to the wrong booth. Like,
it's going to do like political ads on the way there.
It's like, why am I in the next county?
Guys, this is not good. This is not good. Okay, well, before we leave the people and let them go to their lives, what is there any parting thoughts, parting recommendations?
I have two things. Okay, I have two things. One, there's this real company called Inviten. It started in Europe. You can actually pay to go to someone else's wedding. You pay between $100 and $200.
It's wedding crashers.
That's a very narrow window.
It's a marketplace for wedding guests to go to different people's weddings. And the money goes to the bride and groom who might need more budget for their wedding.
They missed out on a real naming opportunity. They could have called this Rule 72. You have to adhere
to the dress code, show up on time, agree not to publish any photos or videos without permission, and behave.
Can you give a toast? What's the price?
Why would you do this?
Because, for some people, they want to understand the cultural, an Indian wedding. They were like, I've never been to an Indian wedding. I'd like to go to one. I'd pay $200 to go to one just to see what it's like. And so now you can sell seats.
That's insane.
Isn't that hilarious? Okay. Secondly, we have a Netflix recommendation, which is called The Hunting Wives.
Oh,
it's a little intense.
Oh, I've read some good things. I've read some good things. Is this a Jess show or a Sam and Jess show?
I mean, Sam could get into
gonna like
this.
it.
What's it called? Sorry, I was texting with Kevin.
The Hunting Wives.
Let's just say, Netflix has gone full 90s
romantasy.
HBO Cinemax.
Jess, girl porn.
Romantasy.
It's legit. It's the furthest on dragons? The edge that I've seen. No, it's like these women from the South, but there's girl on girl, girl on guy. There's a lot of things going on in this show. And I can't believe Netflix is going to this extreme, but it's happening. So there you go.
It's a full out romance novel.
Gonna add it to the list.
Well, let's get into it. I mean, I'm sold.
You're gonna like it, Sam.
You had Sam on girl.
Absolutely. It sounds like a highly produced softcore porn. What's not to like?
It is. It's fully 90s
made for
softcore.
Women.
It's unbelievable.
It sounds like it's made for everyone, Britt.
I mean, made for women to want to watch it, and then their husbands will willingly agree. I guess I'll watch it with you. So
this is a good pitch. Good pitch.
The lead actress was David Axelrod's wife in Billions.
Oh,
is she hot?
Oh yeah,
cool.
Super hot.
Even Britt's nodding.
Wait, I don't think his name was David Axelrod.
It's Malin Ackerman and Brittany Snow. And it's the guy from My Best Friend's Wedding.
Not David Axelrod. That's hilarious. What was his name? Axe. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll send
good for Netflix.
Yeah.
Maybe good for Netflix. I want to see more of this.
Netflix is crushing it. Netflix and YouTube, man.
Didn't it used to be, when HBO was early, didn't they used to have HBO After Dark that was all softcore porn? Do I remember that from high school?
You do remember that, because I remember that.
That was great. And
that was
that's
the only place
want.
to get it, man.
That was awesome.
There was no internet back then.
I would love to see that come back.
Great.
And now it is.
It's back. And the future is here, Sam.
and thanks to Brit's Pop Culture Corner.
And God bless America. God bless America.
Okay. And with that, dear viewers, listeners, thank you for joining us for another week of More or Less. We'll be back here next week, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this show, please leave us a virtual high five by rating it and reviewing it on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Find more information about each episode in the show notes, and follow us on social media by searching for @MoreOrLess, @DaveMorin, @Lesson, @JLesson, and as for me, I'm @Brit. See you guys next time.